Can I give a word of context about this? Why we end up with this little bit self-referential talk? This is the fifth year that ItaCa exists as a group project, as a wonderful experience that we
As
have
an
been building
enterprise.
together. Yeah, as an enterprise. So we thought, with the organizing committee thought that it was nice to end up the 2024 edition with a little bit of, indeed, discussion about what ItaCa has become in all these years. So Ivan kindly offered to give an overview. Let's see what he has to say.
Hello, everyone. So, of course, Fosco already said something I was planning to say. So, thank you, Fosco, for stealing portions of my talk. Um, it's nice to have you here. I hope you will enjoy this talk, and there will be no mathematics at all. So, if someone came to see me talking about mathematics, this is not the right day. So, let's start. So the plan for today is to see a bit of history, numbers, and comments about what is happening in ItaCa and what is ItaCa. And then I would like to raise the question, what are we currently? And of course, very importantly, where do we want to go? I will make a number of comments about this. And of course, there will be open mic at the end so that we can um, disagree on what I say. Okay. So let's start with history and numbers. So the first thing is to talk a tiny bit about the genesis of ItaCa. And there is one person that needs to be mentioned, and that is Beppe Mettere, who suggested the importance of creating something like ItaCa in summer 2019. And this is a picture of Beppe Mettere, and I think this is a great chance to say something about him. I'm happy he's not here, so this is less awkward. Um, Beppe finally landed in Milan. Now he's permanently in Milano, as he always wanted to. And most importantly now, maybe less importantly now, is also an editor of TAC. So he's a very important member of the category theory community. And we are very happy for his recent successes, both in personal life and in professional life. And I think this is one of the things that ItaCa has to be a place to cheer the successes of its members. So I would like to start this talk with saying thank you, Beppe, for generating us, but also congratulations for the recent successes that you had. And so, as I was saying, ItaCa was born um, in order to achieve some goals, and I would like to discuss which goals moved the origins of ItaCa. And the first one was to increase the visibility of category theory in the Italian mathematical discourse. So Italy is a country where structural mathematics did not have the success that others might think it had. Of course, Bill Lovier was very eradicated in Italy at some point, and there was a lot of interaction between the Italian community of category theory and the rest of the category theory communities. But if you're Italian and you're interested in category theory, you know that besides its community, nobody talks about category theory. And actually, it's a topic that nobody likes in a way. And so Beppe thought that a way to increase the visibility of category theory and a way to popularize the subject to other departments where the subject is less discussed was to create a community that would acknowledge that there are Italians doing category theory and there is category theory done by Italians, despite they are not very visible in the country. There was more than that. There was the idea of offering a network for Italians that are scattered all around the world. And this is something that every category theorist is very aware of. It's absolutely full of Italians everywhere. And these Italians talk to each other because Italians talk a lot. And so Ithaca was a stage where this communication could happen, possibly efficiently. And then another reason for ItaCa to emerge was to support the career of young researchers and help them find a place, a permanent place to stay, possibly in Italy if they wanted to go back. And this is the reason why our name is ItaCa. And there is the reference to the Greek mythology. So it was a chance to go back, but also as a general statement, and this is very connected to point number two about networking, just to find positions inside the category theory community. And last, and maybe most importantly, of course, we are social monkeys, and so the most important point was to make friends. It was just a piece of semiotics, just a name, a label that could allow people to talk to each other under a certain kind of totem, which in this case was being Italian and being a category theorist. So these were the reasons why we were born. And during this talk, we will discuss whether we have succeeded in any of these points, or maybe we haven't succeeded in any of these points. So the first question is, how did we do any of the things that we did? And the first thing we should talk about are the ItaCa workshops. So ItaCa workshops are physical events, and we had quite a number of them now. We had 5 of them in different years, and they have been, in my opinion, extremely successful in ways that we were not expecting. So we had one in Milano, one in Genova, one in Pisa, one in Torino, and one in Padova this year. And if we look at the number of participants, which is the number that you see on the right column, we are always around 50 participants, quite stably. And this is a very great achievement because it is above the average size of a PSSL. And it is, of course, it's much less of a CT, but it is still half of a CT or a third of a CT. So this really shows that the community is vibing and takes the opportunity to gather as much as possible. More importantly, at the ItaCa workshops, there is quite a number of non-Italian speakers. Some of them are here in the audience today. Hello, Igor. And I think for the moment, the ItaCa workshops have been really an enormous success that I was not expecting when we started, and nobody was expecting when we started. So this year we will be in Padova. Unfortunately, I will not be there. Really, I'm very sorry for that. But you should go. And next year, we don't know where we will be. This is something that will be discussed in Padova by the people that are there. And of course, maybe I even know, and I don't want to spoil it to you. It's also a good question how many people there will be in Padova this year. And this is also an information that is not available yet, especially because I hope to convince some of you to go so that the number will change. But anyhow, I think this number, this 50, is really a great evidence that the community exists and that it gathers all the time. And I hope in the next years there will be other events. We have one per year, and it is a first question to wonder whether we want to gather more than once per year. This is a question that could be raised, and I would say we definitely want to gather at least one per year, but I think that will not change, and there is no risk that that will stop happening. So I included a couple of pictures. This is one in Genova, I think, I'm quite sure, and then no, sorry, this is not in Genova. I think this is in uh, um. I'm not sure if this is in Genova or
It's Genova, Ivan.
oh,
It's
thank you,
Villa
thank you.
Cambiaso.
Thank you, Jacopo. Yes, this is in Genova, and then this one is a dinner, more recent. I think this is Turin, and we can see some of the most important people of Ithaca, including Beppe, but I mean many other people in this picture. So this is the first event that is extremely important in our community, the workshop. But the other important event that we run is the fest, which is where we are today. In a way, the fest is also my favorite event because it's the one that forces everyone to gather monthly, and so it's just a way to see each other's face as often as possible, which, in my opinion, is extremely important in generating a community and maintaining it. And we had more than 50 talks until now, and we are at the fifth edition of the fest. The current scientific committee is the one below, Coraglia di Liberti, Loregian, Metere, and Perrone. And who knows what's going to happen to this committee in the near future? Maybe something will change. And we try to represent every topic of inside category theory, from logic to homotopy theory to applied category theory, and so on. Of course, formal category theory, general category theory, categorical algebra, and I hope I'm mentioning as many things as possible. But so I think also the fest is a success, in my opinion. I will talk about failures soon, don't worry. I think also the fest is a great success, and I hope we will keep going in this direction. Personally, I am quite satisfied with the quality of the fest and also with the way it's going. And your presence today is a great example of that. We have always between 20 and 40 people that are present at the fest. And I think this is personally, I think it's a good number. I wouldn't aim for higher number. It's not reasonable. And this is higher than many online seminars nowadays. So I think this is another sign that we are very much alive and we manage to stay together. This is another picture from a previous fest. I'm always there. There is Paolo. There is Gabriele. But as you can see in this picture, there is also Joshua Wrigley. And that I don't have so many pictures, so I had to choose this picture. But I hope this picture proves that we have a quite international community that is coming around ItaCa, and we have so many international speakers. And so in this sense, I think our community is recognized and acknowledged at international level and also respected. People do show up to check out the talks that we prepare. So let's talk a tiny bit about leadership and the people that guide this project. So the current board is Di Liberti, Emmenegger, Loregian, and Metere. And as you can see, there is also Lanari in this list. And I want to talk about a tiny bit about this topic because it's a very important one. So in the original board, there was Edoardo Lanari. And Eduardo Lanari, like me and Fosco, is a very young researcher that at some point has left mathematics, and recently Jacopo has joined the board. We're super happy with Jacopo, and this is all great, but we did lose a very important person in the history of ItaCa. Eduardo was with us at the very beginning, and he was a very important member. And we don't spend much time about talking to talk about all the people that leave us and how much this drains the potential of things like ItaCa. Every year, very bright researchers have to leave academia because there aren't many positions, and this is absolutely a tragedy, and it's a tragedy we don't comment enough. And ItaCa was born in order to mitigate and medicate this problem. And with Eduardo, we have failed. And that's very important to acknowledge that. And by failing, not only we have this is bad for Eduardo because he will not do research in mathematics anymore, but it's even more, it's terrible for us because he was one of the best of us. And yeah, I wanted to mention this. But anyway, now Jacopo has joined, and I think for the moment that we are very happy. Everything is functioning in the board for the moment. But also, it's important to have a board mostly to know who to blame for our failures. And so later in this presentation, I will talk about the failures of ItaCa, and these four people are the people that we should blame for whatever we were not successful in reaching. So concerning outreach, we have a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel has 113 videos, 500 subscribers, and 22,000 views, which is especially the number of views is a quite decent number for the kind of things we do. We have also a Twitter account, and we have a website, which is of course our main interface. And the way the people that manage these things are Capucci and Lobbia and Loregiana and Dagnino for the website. I want to thank all the people that I'm mentioning because these are the people that make ItaCa possible. And Another thing that we have done is the course in category theory, and the course has 27 videos, most of them of 2 hours long. And so this is a resource in Italian that all the students of Italy can check in order to learn category theory with us. This was a great success of outreach, in my opinion. It has there are 2,300 views for the first lecture and 100 views for the I wrote worst lecture just because I needed to be synthetic there, but it just means the lecture that has the least views. And if you're curious, it's the lecture about monads by Beppe. So this is a great failure of Beppe, if you want. But anyway, I mean, this is a quite impressive number of views considering the topic, and the people that have put together this course were Fosco, Jacopo, Giorgi Perroni, and Guffanti, and then Metere Palombi and Coraglia. So these are I would say the main three things that we keep doing. That the course is there at this point, and then we have the fest, and then we have the physical event. But there have been many other activities that we have been trying to do. So one of them has been an activity where young people contact us, and then we help them in reading papers. And then after they read these papers, they write something to show that they have learned something. And this project didn't work very well. It was called the Folk Ensemble, and it worked perfectly for Fosco because even some science emerged from it, some publications did emerge from it. But as a general statement, the project didn't manage to stay in place, and it didn't have a lot of attention. And we would like to transform that project soon in a mentorship program. And we have in mind other types of events. We had in mind events about the history of category theory in Italy. Sorry. And other types of events that haven't happened or are still in the progress of being organized, and that I haven't presented because I wanted to concentrate on the main things that we have done. But as a general statement, we try to do as much as possible in order to increase our outreach and be present at international level. And the course, in my opinion, was a good way to produce something that is there and that is accessible for other people. So let's talk a tiny bit about the successes of ItaCa. So I think that the greatest success of ItaCa is that we have created a lively community, and all the previous slices are an evidence of what I'm saying. This very meeting of today is an evidence of what I'm saying. And in this sense, I'm not afraid of of the health of ItaCa. I think ItaCa will thrive and it will still exist in the near future. I don't know about the farther future, of course, but it's definitely in the near future And there is still a lot of energy in all the participants to all the events. We never had problems in finding the place for a new workshop. And so, in this sense, I think um, we managed to make a statement that there are Italians doing category theory, they do love each other, and they are happy to gather and to bring their international friends when they gather. There are things that we succeeded only so and so. And the first one is to, I would say, promote research synergy in the community. So when I say that, I mean that there hasn't been generation of new trends and topics out of our meetings. Of course, everyone brings their research. This is absolutely true. And everyone presents what they are working on, but there isn't a new wave of topics that has emerged from our meetings. I'm not even saying this should happen, but to some extent, one would expect this kind of phenomena to happen when you put together people. And I would say it hasn't happened yet. Maybe it will happen in the future, maybe not. Uh, on a smaller scale, not so many projects have emerged from our meetings. Some have, and some collaborations have started. This is definitely true. But one cannot say that there has been a proliferation of papers that emerged out of ItaCa. And I would say I'm not even claiming that there should be a proliferation of papers that has emerged out of ItaCa. But I think there is a sign of the fact that the community for the moment is an occasion to meet. It's not an occasion to do science yet. And this is something we could invest on. We could wonder, how can we make sure that people actually work together during this meeting and do something new together? And we could think of new formats to encourage this kind of events, or maybe not. Whatever I talk about is something that we can discuss, and we can wonder, is this what we want ItaCa to be also or not? And I think these are good questions to raise. And then we should talk also about what we failed at. And we did fail when it comes to support careers of young researchers. I think this is absolutely clear. We were very much aware that this is not something that ItaCa can solve for the large spectrum of category theory. But I think it's also important to acknowledge that we have failed. And it's also very important to acknowledge that this is a gigantic problem, so that we can ask the question, what can we do very practically about it? And I think it would be interesting to have meetings about it and try to strategize in order to maximize the result in this direction. I think that there can be things that we can do, and of course we have to be realistic and understand that we are doomed to very scarce result. But some result is better than nothing, and it's definitely something we should aim at. Another thing we failed at was writing the book of ItaCa. At some point, we had the idea of writing a manual in Italian, some textbook introduction to category theory. This is something that some people have worked on, that we have quite some pages that have been written by Fosco and other people in our group, and this project is currently staled, and it's a question whether we want to invest more time or not on it. But for the moment, it's something that we haven't succeeded in. And then the last thing I want to complain about is that while I was preparing these slides, I could not find many pictures. And so we should have a gallery section in our website where we have many more pictures. And in this way, we can show that the community is very much alive, and it would be nice to have more pictures. And then I would like to close my presentation with some questions that I have for you. And my first question is, what is our place in the general discourse of the category theory community? Now, this question, in my opinion, has two meanings. The first one is, are we asking ourselves what is the position of category theory in the mathematical community? I think the answer is no. The majority of us are not asking this question, and I think this is a problem. And so, in my opinion, we should ask this question. And whatever is the answer to this question that each of us presents, the question is, what do we want ItaCa to be with respect to the answer that we find for this question? So say that we believe that category theory has lost centrality in the broad landscape of mathematics, then what can ItaCa do in order to change that? And how should we tell the community that this is happening? And how can we convince the community to do something in this direction? Uh, then another question is, what is the future of Italian category theory? And this is a much more inward question, and it is connected to the initial itemized that I presented when I talked about why ItaCa was born. And I think this question means many things. The first one is, how can we make category theory stronger on Italian soil? It means also, how can we help Italian researchers to do more category theory? It means also, how can we get new Italian students to do category theory? And most importantly, it means, can we really make sure that we meet so that there is Italian research on category theory and kind of topics that emerge from our community? At the moment, I would say, for example, that the theory of doctrines is a very Italian topic, but it is not a topic that emerged from ItaCa. And again, I'm not saying that we should produce this as a kind of a checkpoint or thing that we want to get. But if we would produce it, it would show that we are a healthy community, in my opinion. And so I take this as a kind of, I would take it as an evidence of the thing that we are very healthy. Um, Then another question is, how do we grow in numbers? And that means, how can we manage to bring new people inside the community? Until now, the way we bring new people is via invitations. So most of the time, for example, it happened today with Giuseppe. He is new to the community. We didn't know him before. We saw some of his preprints. We found them very interesting, and we decided to invite him. And this is currently one of the main ways we bring people closer to ItaCa. There are others, but it's a question. It is a question to ask: how can we find new ways to bring people? And then the last question is: there are some things that we are very good at doing, I would say. One, for example, is the fest, another one is the workshop, and we could keep doing these things, or we can ask the question, what else can we do, and what other things do we want to be? And I think that we should ask this question, and we should try to answer it, because maybe we want to be something new and a more political object, as it is evident from my first question. Or maybe we don't want to do that, and we just want to keep doing what we know how to do, and that's a very much a viable possibility. And another,
Packed all of these individuals, but what they left out is that each one of these individuals.
okay. And now the last thing I would like to say is, at the moment, um, another thing that we don't do is kind of discussing the current trends in category theory and what kind of topics category theory is working on. And this is also something we could start trying and doing, and try to orient the general research of category theory. And this is definitely something we are not doing at the moment, and we could ask, how can we make this happen? And I think on this I will end my presentation, and we can have a chat about what people think of this. Thank you.